Angels Care Home Health, serving Hayes and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
I love the nurses that come and see me.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
Since I learned about Angel Care, I would recommend them to anybody.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.
Eagle Community Television presents Community Connection with your host, Mike Cooper.
Hello and welcome again to Community Connection from Eagle Community Television. Thanks for watching, and thanks as always to the producer and editor of our series, Jeff Durall. We're at Picken Hall on the campus of Fort Hays State University with the Director of Office of Scholarship and Sponsored Projects at Fort Hays State, Leslie Paige. Well, first of all, congratulations, Leslie.
Well, thank you.
Presidential Award from the National Association of School Psychologists for exceptional service to children and school psychology. Boy, that's well deserved.
Well, it's quite an honor.
From our years of past associations, I can certainly understand why the Presidential Award winner is our community connection today. Also, 2001 and 2007, it's not like you're a stranger to these awards,
Well,
Leslie.
I was not expecting it. It was just really pretty thrilling.
Well, you've been in leadership positions in the state and national level since 1979, and in 96 also received the Psychologist of the Year Award from the National Association of School Psychologists. So a lot of awards, and now your new position at Fort Hays State. So first, on your current position, how long have you been here?
Well, I've been here since 2003 and came over from USD 489 to start up a grants office here for the university. And since then, it's grown quite a bit. In addition to working with grants for faculty, research grants, service and program, operational grants with faculty and staff, we also are responsible for research compliance, following all the rules and regulations that govern what we do with research, as well as the undergraduate research initiative here on campus.
A very detailed job description, I think.
Well,
Leslie.
it keeps me busy.
No doubt. But grants really are a driving mechanism for the university, aren't they? I mean, I don't think university could survive without them.
Well, the university probably could survive without grants, but it's definitely an asset for the university. It helps us to be able to get equipment that we need, to provide scholarships for students, opportunities for our faculty to conduct research here or internationally. It's also a wonderful source of revenue for the university to be able to do those special things that we want to do on campus as well as with research.
Now, in your Office of Scholarship and Sponsored Projects, who do you serve?
I serve all the faculty and staff on campus directly. Indirectly, it would be students, since a lot of the scholarships a lot of scholarships are written through grants that are done by faculty and certain programs. So the students will indirectly benefit. Some of our grants also hire students to be student researchers, research assistants, and that's a really valuable asset for us because it is basically teaching the next generation of researchers and scientists in our disciplines.
We've met some of those students in our past reports, Leslie, who've worked at Sternberg. They've worked in the CAMS program with some of the professors in biological sciences. So really a good introduction to career fields.
Yes, definitely. It's we know that undergraduate research can help students in many ways. In addition to teaching them about the discipline and research skills, it's a lot of those soft skills that employers and professional programs like, things like being a team player, getting your work done on time, being able to be a good critical thinker, problem solver, et cetera. So it's an added asset for our students that are participating in these programs.
And some of those areas that you learn outside the classroom in a work situation that you might not otherwise be exposed to.
Definitely. It's a way of taking what you may learn through courses, through your readings, and actually applying it. It helps the students to learn what they like and don't like to do, and it also helps them to develop these much needed skills they'll need in the workforce.
Well, most people know your background in USD 489 through school psychology. Talk a little about that, Leslie.
Well, I was a school psychologist at 489 and for a little bit over at Russell since 1981. I worked there for about 22, 23 years. And as a school psychologist, as a practitioner, basically you're a generalist. You do a lot of things as a mental health provider in the school district. So some of the things that we do and that I did was consulted with teachers, with parents, with community service providers to develop strategies to help kids that were having issues. We did a lot of school-wide mental health activities. Actually, the last 10 years or so with the district, when I first started getting into writing grants and doing projects, that was a lot of the focus were school-wide and district-wide programs to improve special ed services, school safety, crisis prevention, school psych services, et cetera. The other things that school psychologists do is we work with the other educators in the school as well as the community and family to help to develop safe and healthy school environments for our children. Certainly a lot of what school psychologists do, because of the way that funding works, is we also do a lot of work with special education. So it might be doing assessments, working with teams of other educators, other providers of services to develop strategies and interventions to help kids to benefit from academics or to deal with behavior issues and to be able to excel academically. Also, as a school psych, it's kind of a mixed bag. Again, depending on the age group I was working with the older students, we were doing a lot of group and individual counseling. We might have groups to develop social skills. We had friendship groups. We were working a lot with teachers on bullying programs, bullying prevention programs, and working in a lot of different schools.
Mm-hmm. And you really had contact with not only students, but faculty members, teachers.
Oh yes, very much.
Parents. So you really covered the whole area to try to get to problem solving.
Yes, definitely. I worked with students from basically birth to 21, so it was a pretty broad range. But I always used to say I had one of the best jobs in the district because I got to be in every type of classroom and got to learn so much from the teachers and the specialists that were working with students. It just really added to my own toolkit of possible interventions and solutions for problems that other teachers might have had or other students might have had some needs for.
Well, over those years, did the focus of the job change, Leslie?
Well, yes it did, because special education and education changed a lot over those 22, 23 years. So the first year that I was out working, I think I had something like 14 or 15 schools that I had to travel to, so it was a lot of windshield time. It was kind of like drive-by school psychology, mental health services, couldn't be anywhere for very long. And then over time, as we had more staff and people began to understand more of the value of school psychology and the services that we could provide, was able to focus more on a few schools and a few age groups instead of having to do everything for everybody. So once you're able to have a lower number of students that you're responsible for, you're able to get much more involved in providing positive behavioral supports, working with teams to do more prevention and early intervention instead of just coming in when there's already a problem.
And certainly with the addition of individuals and the smaller numbers that you're able to work with, it's just like a teacher in a classroom, more close time with those students to be able to understand their needs.
Yes, definitely, as well as more time to work with the teachers, the classroom teachers, to together and very collaboratively work in partnership to develop appropriate interventions, either sometimes for a whole class or sometimes just for a couple of kids.
How are we doing as far as school psychologists because of budgetary issues?
Well, I can't speak for what's happening at USD 489. I do know that there is a tremendous shortage of school psychologists nationally. Pretty much anybody who is a licensed school psych practitioner Unless you want to have to work in New York City or up in the Northeast Corridor, you can probably find a job anywhere. There's a tremendous shortage. A lot of folks entered the field in the mid to late 70s, and a lot of us are retiring. So as a result, there is a significant shortage. I think that the National Association of School Psychologists and the Bureau of Labor Statistics think that there's going to be like a 12 to 15% growth of jobs between now and I think 2020 for school psychologists. So if anybody's interested in working with kids and working with schools, this is a great career.
Talk about the benefits for schools and for students of school psychology.
Well, it's a mental health provider. So some of the benefits would include being able to help to prevent problems before they become so out of control that it's pretty hard to deal with. As we know, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. So the other thing that school psychologists bring to the table is a background in research and in data collection and analysis. So one of the things that we are able to do, and that I certainly did quite a bit when I was working in the field, is to be able to look at an intervention and collect enough data about either what's happening to get a handle on the situation, but also to be able to use that data, have an intervention, and then see, well, did it work? And we could do that at a child level, classroom level, school level, or even district-wide. So that's one of the strengths that a lot of school psychologists can bring, is that research background, as well as bringing evidence-based interventions and strategies into the classroom to help with the teachers and those people that are working with the kids.
Based on long-standing modalities of things that have worked, and those areas that haven't worked, or the approaches that haven't worked, push them aside.
Right.
Tell me about the current society. Where are we as far as schools and the overall atmosphere of our society now? I mean, it's a big question, but are we looking at more confrontation, more problem areas based on national situations?
Well, I think it really drills down to kind of at a local level as well. I think that there are a lot of influences at play. Children, youth, and families, they have a lot more access to a lot of information through the internet, through social media, and not all of it is accurate. Not all of it is helpful.
Or positive even.
Or positive. We also have a political climate right now that's coming into play, that some of the school psychologists that I know at a national level in other communities have talked about students who's maybe immigrants, or students who may be of a different ethnicity or a different race being more at risk because of bullying, of students treating them in ways that they're seeing perhaps being replicated either in the community or on internet. And so there's more teasing, more bullying, and so some students are afraid to go to school and having some issues as a result of that. And that, I think, is extremely unfortunate.
And it's very important, again, to reemphasize the importance of those school psychologists as a listening ear and somebody that can intervene perhaps, and even somebody to talk to, Leslie.
Yes, that's definitely part of what a lot of my colleagues in other schools in other parts of the country are having to do a lot of crisis intervention with some of the students. There's also the situation with needing to look at school-wide strategies to prevent the problems. Issues that have to do with social justice, bullying prevention, being able to communicate in positive ways, and supporting each other instead of tearing each other down.
And in our last minute, Leslie, talk about the difference between a counselor in school and a psychologist.
Well, both school psychologists and school counselors are mental health practitioners, but the school psychologists have about 66 graduate hours and a 1,200 our internship prior to being licensed. School counselors have a different kind of training. I think it's about 48 graduate hours plus some supervision. The school psychologist background is going to be more in with the research base, with collecting data, doing data analysis, more emphasis obviously on psychology, a lot more emphasis on special education, etc. School counselors, who are essential components in the schools, have more training. Again, they have it in psychology, mental health, child development, but I think their focus is a lot on doing group counseling, social skills, and with the younger students. With older students, it's career planning, doing a lot of things with their assessments, things like that, helping kids to get ready for the next step in their life.
And as a husband of a former teacher, we need both.
We definitely do. It's a partnership.
Leslie Paige, Director of the Office of Scholarship and Sponsored Projects at Fort Hays State University, is our Community Connection.
Angels Care Home Health, serving Hays and the surrounding areas, is a Medicare-certified home health agency providing quality skilled nursing and restorative therapy services to patients in their homes.
My Angel Care physical therapist taught me how to do exercises safely.
Angels Care is there to help 24 hours a day, and all services are covered 100% by Medicare for patients who are eligible.
It gives us independence in our home.
Angels Care Home Health. We serve patients.